Yo, what's good? I'm your fearful leader Q, and today we're going to be looking at some unexplained experiences from Reddit. Let's see what people have to share. Alright, this one kind of freaked me out because there's a picture associated with it. When I was 13, I moved into my brother's bedroom, as it is an extension to the original house with an ensuite and is far larger than my old room. Originally, it was a tiny box room with the entrance to the attic, but it was extended outwards. The attic entrance is always open with a permanent set of metal ladders angled up to it. There's a picture of it here. The gray arch is where the original room ended. Within a few weeks of moving in, I'd wake up in the middle of the night to see a figure staring down at me, with a white head like a skull and a formless black body. It would slowly move down to the foot of my bed and stare at me until I moved, at which point it would sink into the floor. Just sleep paralysis, right? And I'd begged to move into the room and I had just gotten it set up, so I wasn't going to leave. I didn't really talk about it to anyone, and it gradually became less frequent over time. 8 years after this, my brother mentioned at a get-together that he used to have a sleep paralysis demon when he lived in that room in a half-joking, half-freaked-out way to other people when the topic of them came up. He described the exact same fucking thing. Neither of us mentioned it to anyone at the time it was happening, so we have no explanation for both of us experiencing the same thing. I'm currently back from uni myself due to corona with that dark void in the ceiling in the corner of my room. I've heard a lot of sleep paralysis stories, and they are freaky, but this one with the picture, I can just put myself in that situation, and I don't care if the rest of the house is a trailer and this bedroom is like a mansion. I'm not sleeping in this bedroom with that fucking hole in the ladder, dude. This is terrifying. 10 out of 10. Put a picture with your stories. I don't care if it's real. Just find a picture and associate it with your story. It makes it so much scarier. I was about 7 or 8 and I was at a housewarming party at my aunt and uncle's new house. It wasn't extravagant, it was a lower to middle class mobile home in South Carolina. Wasn't really a big party, just the family, some barbecue out back, red Solo cups, all boxes in the garage and not even distributed to their proper rooms. The only things that were unpacked and where they should be was the furniture. So anyway, two of my cousins were there and one of them had a friend over and we were playing together some made-up fantasy game where we were pretending to be princesses or something. All of the adults were out back drinking, and I emphasize there were only 4 people inside the house. Me, my 2 cousins, and the friend. The house was set up in such a way that the kitchen was the first room you walked into from the front door, then there was the living room, then past that was the hallway with the bathroom and bedrooms. I was in the living room on the couch because that was the princess bedroom, and I was kinda just sitting there idle while the others got snacks. With no warnings or no other sounds, every single one of us hears a female voice let out an ear-piercing, gut-wrenching, overall horrifying scream in the bathroom. It was as clear as day, and it was so loud and sudden that it made me jump, as the living room was right next to the hallway. My cousins and their friend ran from the kitchen and looked at me sitting there, and then we all ran from the living room into the bathroom. Not a single person is in there, and nothing is displaced because there wasn't anything unpacked anyway except the toilet paper. We turned back around to see about 3 adults coming in from the back door because they had heard it too coming from inside, so it wasn't any of them. What gets me about it is this. We have all since entertained the idea that it was a prank no one has fessed up to yet. But in order for it to have been a corporeal being, they would have to have somehow gotten into the bathroom without me seeing them from the couch, screamed, ran out of the bathroom to either the back door without any of the 4 kids in the living room seeing, or out a window in one of the bedrooms. All of the bedroom windows were locked from the inside, so if they escaped that way, someone would have had to have locked it and gone out the back door, which again, we would have seen. One of the creepiest things that's ever happened to me. And before you cry speaker hidden somewhere, that was one of the first things my uncle checked for when he ran inside and was told by us that none of us had done it. Me and my cousins think it's either something supernatural or something that the adults did. And all of the adults think that one of us screamed and lied about it because we were all in the bathroom when they came in. Either way, the mood at the party was killed really fast after that. Everyone was confused and a little on edge, and there wasn't any of that self-satisfied undertone that someone had just played a really good practical joke and would have been showing. It was just a blood-curdling sound. I don't know why, but the thing that scares me the most is that the mood at the party was killed afterwards. Because you would think if this was some practical joke, or if maybe it wasn't as scary as the kids were making it out to be, everything would have just moved on from there and, like, been fine. But things changed after this scream went down, and I totally get it. I'm a basic bitch. I'm terrified of human screams. But the fact that just nobody's fessing up to it, there's no explanation. The adults thought it was the kids, and the kids thought it was the adults. And just something about this freaks me out, man. Driving home from work late one night, I was followed, and it was weird. I left the hospital and turned off the main road to a bunch of side streets I would take. At one point, I noticed a car behind me that made the same left turn as me. They sped up to get behind me. I thought nothing of it. Then I briefly thought about running to 7-Eleven to grab some food, and I turned on my right signal. But then I realized I had food at home, so I turned my signal off. The car behind me turned on their right signal and turned it off as well, exactly as I had. At that point, I got a bit spooked, so I turned my right signal on and they did as well. Instead, at the next intersection, I turned left, even though my right signal was on. They did as well. They proceeded to follow me through a series of odd turns. Eventually, I turned onto a cul-de-sac I knew about and figured I could turn around there and looked at the driver to see who was following me. As I approached the end of the road, they figured out what I was doing. They stopped and did a fast K-turn and sped off. It was weird. Still don't know who it was. I'm really curious if any of you have been followed home while driving, because I've had some suspicions in the past, but nothing as clear and obvious as this. And just the fact that they had, like, no reason to think anybody would want to follow them. It's just like, who was this? Why were they doing it? And why did they run away so quickly? It's a very scary idea. I used to work in a nursing home where I cared for dementia patients. Every patient on the hall I worked with would steal spoons from dinner to give to the kids because they like shiny things. It got to the point where once a week I'd have to go through everyone's room just to take back the spoons. I asked the patients about the kids many times but never got a good answer. I'd hear things like, "They just live here," or "They stand outside in the snow and look in the windows," or "They're my friends who visit." Wouldn't be so weird if they didn't all do it, but it was everyone. The ones who were still capable of speaking anyways. One time at 3 a.m., one of my patients started screaming, so I ran in her room and found her laying in bed seemingly fine. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, "That boy is here again and won't get out of my closet. I'm scared." Like, me too, Dolores, what the fuck? I'm super curious if anybody out there has ever worked with a lot of dementia patients before, because I'm wondering if this sort of shared delusion is common at all, because the way that I would just guess it would be is everybody has different delusions going on with dementia, and for them to all line up like that and for them all to be on the same consistent plot of these kids needing spoons as some sort of offering, like, it's just very strange. It's unsettling. In college, I was roommates with my childhood best friend for about 2 years. We are very trusting with each other, and we would go into each other's rooms freely and grab whatever we needed. To borrow clothes, hairbrush, perfume, etc. No questions asked, just a knock if we were in the room to let each other know that we were going in. Our rooms are across the hall from each other, with the hall facing the kitchen. So from the kitchen you could see down the hall where our rooms were. At the time, my friend had very long black hair and she's very fair-skinned. One day, I get home from work with my headphones in my ear talking to my mom about my day. I go to the kitchen and grab a snack. I see her walk out of her room and go into mine, leave my room and go back into hers. She looked like she just got out of the shower and her hair was soaking wet and she was wrapped in a white towel. Her long, black, wet hair is what I distinctively remember. Also, she made no eye contact with me, but I didn't think that was weird. I didn't say anything to her since borrowing each other's stuff was normal. I'm still on the phone with my mom, so I don't think much of it. I grab my snack, hang up with my mom, and go back into my room to watch TV. I figured she's just getting ready to go somewhere and we'll talk later. About an hour passes and I go into the kitchen to clean the plate I ate on. I see her in the kitchen making something to eat and I tell her, "Hey, what'd you grab from my room earlier? Did you find what you needed?" She looks at me as if I was crazy and said, "What are you talking about?" So I say, "Yeah, earlier when I got home, I saw you go into my room and grab something. Did you get what you needed?" Sorry I didn't say hi, I was just on the phone with my mom. She asks me if I'm sure I saw her. I said yes, 100%. She tells me to grab my phone and go to her car ASAP, that she needs to show me something. I had my phone on me and she grabbed my keys from the kitchen counter along with her purse. She drags me out the front door into her car. She then tells me that she got home maybe 5 minutes before we started talking. She had spent the night at her boyfriend's and hadn't been home all day. She has no idea who I saw. I'll never forget the look on her face when she told me this. Complete fear and panic. She called the cops and they came along with the apartment manager. They checked the whole apartment and found no one. Nothing amiss. And they were there a while, checking every nook and cranny. The manager got maintenance to change our locks and gave us new keys that day. My friend tells me that for a week she'd been hearing noises from our bathroom like bottles moving, and when she went to check it out, she found nothing. I have no idea who I saw going in and out of our rooms, but it looked exactly like my friend. I don't drink or do drugs, not on meds. This was in 2014 and I still freak out when I think about it. This one freaks me out. I mean, it's got the extra thing that she had super pale skin and long black hair, so you just immediately get, like, the Ring imagery in your head, and it freaks me out for sure. Also, the roommate corroborating that she had also heard weird noises at some point, like just the idea that somebody had been there, possibly for an extended period of time while they were asleep or out of the dorm or whatever this apartment setup was. It's freaky. Feel free to share any unexplained experiences you have in the comments section. Please skate on to the best of your abilities and drink a sufficient amount of water. I'll see you super soon. Stay safe out there.